They dressed her in moon-silver silk so the rejection would look prettier on camera. Lyra Hale stood at the heart of the Moonstone clearing with all eyes on her, cold night air burning in her lungs as the pack chanted for the goddess to reveal the destined pairs. Lanterns swayed in the pines like suspended stars. Wolves lined the circle in human skin, jaws clenched, claws just under the surface. Her pulse beat in her throat as Rowan Blackthorn, alpha of the Crescent Moon pack and the boy she'd loved since she was old enough to shift, stepped forward when her name was called. Lyra Hale, the elder intoned, voice booming like distant thunder. Step forth to receive the moon's will. The world narrowed to Rowan's eyes. His scent hit her first, pine smoke, storm rain, the faint metallic edge of alpha power that made the air heavier around him. The mate bond snapped awake in her chest like a struck match. Scent. Heartbeat resonance. Aura pressure. The entire clearing pulsed with it. He flinched. Just a fraction, just enough. His heartbeat spiked against the bond and then slammed shut, as if he'd slammed a door in the face of destiny itself. Rowan's jaw flexed. His wolf bared its teeth behind his eyes, silver flashing under the moon. For a heartbeat, Lyra felt him inside her chest, terror, longing, something like awe. Then he wrenched his gaze away. I reject this, he said. Aloud. In front of the entire pack. Gasps broke like a wave. The bond recoiled through her, snapping tight around her heart and then tearing. Her knees almost buckled. The elder stared at Rowan like he'd just spat on the goddess herself. Alpha Rowan, he warned, voice low. The mate bond is sacred. I will not accept her, Rowan said, louder this time, power rolling off him in a harsh wave that crushed the clearing into stunned silence. She is too weak to stand at my side as Luna. The words sliced through Lyra cleaner than any claw. Weak. The pack's whispers turned to knives. Bastard girl. Barely shifts. No true blood. The healer's stray. Tears burned behind her eyes, but she would not bleed in front of them. She lifted her chin and met Rowan's gaze again. His wolf howled against his ribs, the sound echoing in her bones. This is wrong, the bond screamed. This is wrong. A strange pressure prickled at the back of her neck. The air changed, thicker, colder, charged. The pines fell silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. And then his scent hit the clearing. Dark cedar. Iron. Winter. An aura so heavy it crawled over the skin of every wolf present and shoved them a step closer to the dirt. Wolves dropped their gazes without thinking, throats bending in instinctive submission. Even Rowan's shoulders stiffened. From the shadows beyond the lantern light, a tall figure stepped into the circle. Eyes like molten mercury swept over the horrified pack, over the elder, over Rowan. Then locked onto Lyra. The mate bond flared. But not from Rowan. From him. Every instinct she owned screamed danger. Her wolf pressed beneath her skin, belly down, ears flat. Because she knew that face. Everyone did. They knew the name whispered in every territory like a curse and a prayer. The Alpha no council could tame. The Alpha King who'd slaughtered 2 war packs in a single night. The one no one dared challenge. Kel Draven. He stopped a breath away, his aura pressing against her like a storm tide. He inhaled once, slow and deliberate, and the silver ring of the bond slammed between them as if it had always been there, waiting. I'll take what you threw away, Blackthorn, Kale said softly, eyes never leaving hers. His voice carried like a blade. Reject her if you want. But under the full moon, before your pack and your goddess. His hand closed around Lyra's wrist, and the entire clearing shuddered. I claim her. Stay with this story until the final moonrise. You'll see how a girl rejected as too weak becomes the one thing even the most feared alpha in the Northern Territories can't live without. If you want more mate bond twists, brutal pack politics, and alphas who fall to their knees when it's already too late. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss the next cursed love story. Like if you've ever rooted for the girl everyone underestimated. And comment, claimed, if you want more ruthless alphas and second chance fated mates. The night they marked the young wolves, the moon hung low and swollen, stained the color of old bone. It bled light over the crescent moon pack's sacred clearing, turning the white stones silver and the watching wolves ghost pale. Lyra stood just outside the circle, hands clenched in the folds of her dress, breathing in the thick stew of nerves, excitement, and fear. Her own pulse beat too fast, out of step with the drums. She could feel her wolf pacing under her skin, brushing against her ribs in restless circles. Easy, she told it silently. Easy. But nothing about tonight was easy. Not when the goddess could decide your entire future with a single invisible thread. Not when your heart was already tangled somewhere it had no right to be. Stop chewing your lip, cub. You'll make it bleed. Lyra startled as Aunt Mara appeared at her elbow, the pack healer wrapped in her usual worn shawl despite the unnatural heat of the night. Lines of fatigue bracketed Mara's dark eyes. Too many births, too many injuries, not enough sleep, but worry softened them now as she looked Lyra over. You're pale, Mara muttered, pressing cool fingers to Lyra's forehead. Eat anything since morning? Can't swallow, Lyra admitted, trying to smile. Might throw up on the elder's shoes. That would certainly spice up the ceremony, Mara snorted. Then her gaze flicked to the center of the clearing, where Rowan stood with the other unmated wolves, tall, straight-backed, his dark hair a sharp slash against the moonlight. His aura reached even this far, controlled dominance, sharpened from years of training to be alpha. At his side, other pack daughters looked at him from under lowered lashes, cheeks flushed, wolves pressing to the surface. Waiting. Hoping. Mara's hand squeezed Lyra's shoulder. Whatever name the moon ties you to, you'll survive it, she said quietly. You always have. Lyra swallowed. She could taste Rowan's scent even from here, smoke and pine and the tingling metallic edge of storm. It had been the background note of her entire childhood. The wolf who'd dragged her out of the river when she slipped on the rocks at 11. The boy who'd walked her home bleeding when the Ridge boys tried to corner her behind the school. The alpha heir who trained with the inner circle while she healed twisted ankles in the infirmary and pretended that was enough. She'd been 5 when Mara found her in the forest, half feral and feverish, curled around the body of a wolf that had died trying to shield her from hunters. The pack law said Lyra was a mercy case, a stray the goddess had left for them like an abandoned pup on a doorstep. Some said she had no true blood at all, others whispered that was why her shifts were always slow and painful, why her wolf was smaller, quieter. Rowan had never called her weak. He just never called her his. Not with words. Not with marks. Not with anything the pack could see. The drums shifted, signaling the beginning of the pairing rites. Elders moved into the circle, white robes glowing under the moon. The pack fell silent, nature itself leaning in. Lyra's skin prickled as power rippled through the clearing, old magic, older than packs, older than names. Moon-linked. Bone-deep. Remember, Mara said, leaning close so only Lyra could hear, the bond chooses for more than hearts. It chooses for war and winter and the future we can't see. If it doesn't give you what you want, it's because it's giving you what you'll need when this piece cracks. Lyra almost laughed. Peace. They all knew it was an illusion. Borders had been shifting again. Rogues had been sighted in the north. Rumors spoke of an alpha king consolidating power beyond the mountain line, carving territory from weaker packs, leaving ashen broken oaths behind. Kel Draven. Even thinking the name made a cold finger slide down her spine. She'd heard the stories, everyone had. Wolves who didn't submit found their alpha hearts ripped out. Councils that argued found their halls burned. The old bloodlines called him a usurper, a monster. The young wolves called him something else in their more honest moments, inevitable. But that was another world. Another tier of power. Kale Draven would never set foot in a small coastal pack like Crescent Moon. Wolves like him didn't look down. They only looked forward, at the next territory to devour. The elder's staff struck stone 3 times, jolting Lyra back into her own skin. By the moon that binds us, he intoned, let the destined cords reveal themselves. A tremor went through the assembled wolves as magic thickened, tightening around throats and hearts. Lyra felt it like a slow exhale from the sky itself, settling over her shoulders and sinking into her bones. Her wolf pressed forward, eyes on the circle where Rowan waited. He lifted his head, eyes searching. For a heartbeat, their gazes collided, and something inside her detonated. Heat. Light. The sharp, ringing snap of a bond latching into place. Scent flared between them, doubling, twisting, forming a third note that belonged to neither of them alone. Her heartbeat synced with his, stumbling to catch up. His aura crashed over her in a wave, thick and undeniable, dragging her a step forward without her consent. Mate. The word wasn't thought so much as felt. A howl in her blood. Rowan's pupils blew wide. His wolf lunged at the bond, teeth first, then recoiled like it had run straight into a wall of glass. Pain flashed over his features so quickly the others might have missed it. Lyra didn't. She'd been watching his face her entire life. He hesitated. Just a moment. Just long enough for the whole world to tilt. Lyra inhaled sharply, drunk on the rightness of it and the terror that followed. Because now it wasn't just her secret heartbeat yearning in the background of pack life. Now the goddess had written it in light for everyone to see. Lyra Hale, stray, slow shifter, not quite enough, was the destined mate of the next alpha. Rowan took a step toward her. The pack leaned forward. And far beyond the clearing, where the lantern light couldn't reach, out past the last line of pines where only shadows watched. Something old and hungry lifted its head. Felt the thread of a bond it had no right to. And smiled. The world did not break all at once. It cracked in small, splintering sounds, whispers, gasps, a distant growl swallowed too quickly. Lyra felt each one like a stone thrown into her chest. Rowan stood frozen at the center of the circle, the mate bond stretching between them like a shining thread pulled too tight. Behind his eyes, his wolf clawed to the surface, desperate to complete what destiny had begun. But Rowan forced it down. Forced everything down. I reject this, he said again, quieter but sharper, a blade dipped in ice. A ripple of shock coursed through the crowd. Some wolves stumbled. A few whimpered. Even the elder flinched as if struck. Rejection during a moon-sanctioned ceremony was rare. For an alpha heir to do it was unthinkable. Lyra felt the words before she heard them. A brutal tightening in her chest, then tearing, as if the bond itself had been wrenched and left hanging between them, still alive, still pulsing, but wounded. Weak. He'd called her weak. Not out loud, not yet. But the pack had already whispered the word into the roots of every moonlit tree surrounding them. It wouldn't matter what he said now. Rejection was public. Permanent. A mark burned into her skin even without claws. Rowan took another step back, fingers flexing as he fought his wolf. The pack deserves a Luna who can stand beside me without breaking. The last word fractured something in her spine. She was not broken. She had survived the river, the forest, the hunters, the slow shifts that left her screaming. She had survived being the stray girl raised at the healer's hearth. She had survived wanting him in silence for years. But this she felt like a mortal wound. Very well, the elder rasped, voice shaking with uncontained fury. The alpha heir rejects the moon's decree. A howl shredded the air. Not Rowan's. Not anyone from the Crescent Moon pack. Every head jerked toward the pines. Even the lantern flames bowed as if pushed by an unseen force. Lyra's wolf went belly down instantly, trembling under her skin. A scent crashed into the clearing, cold iron, cedar, winter wind slicing through warm air. Her heartbeat stuttered. The hairs on her arms rose. Rowan stiffened. His wolf snarled in his chest. The entire pack seemed to fold inward, instincts screaming to submit before their minds caught up. Then he stepped from the shadows. Tall, broad-shouldered, power rippling under his skin like storm tides. His eyes glowed silver, not the soft moon silver of crescent wolves but something older, sharper, metal forged in ancient fire. Kale Draven. The alpha no one dared challenge. The alpha who ignored borders and treaties in councils. The alpha king of the northern wastes. He walked toward her with the quiet certainty of a wolf who never questioned whether the world would move aside for him. Every wolf in the clearing bowed without thinking, breath punched from their lungs. Even Rowan gritted his teeth as his aura crumpled under Kale's. Kale's gaze found Lyra. Held. Stole the air from her lungs. The mate bond convulsed. Not the broken one stretched between her and Rowan, something else. Something deeper. Something that felt like the earth itself had turned its face toward her. Kale inhaled once. A low growl vibrated through the clearing, through the bones of every wolf there. His wolf surged so close to the surface Lyra felt its breath against her skin. Your alpha air rejects the goddess, Kale said softly, though his voice carried like thunder. His gaze flicked to Rowan, a warning and a promise all at once. So I will take what he cast aside. Before anyone could stop him, his hand closed around Lyra's wrist. Heat slammed through her, ice and fire braided together. The bond roared awake, not a spark but a wildfire tearing across her nerves. Her wolf surged forward with a whine, pressing her to step closer. Kale leaned in, his breath brushing her cheek. You are not weak, he murmured. You were just standing in the wrong pack. The world spun. Rowan lunged. Wolves shouted. The elder tried to push power into the circle. But Kale's aura expanded, swallowing sound, swallowing light, swallowing the space around them. He pulled Lyra to his side, and the mate bond snapped into place like a chain forged in heaven and hell both. Her breath hitched. His eyes flickered silver and black. And every wolf present realized the same truth at once. The moon had not chosen wrongly. It had simply chosen a wolf strong enough to claim her. The clearing erupted into chaos the moment Kale's fingers closed around Lyra's wrist. Wolves surged to their feet, some shifting halfway before instinct forced them back. The elder shouted commands that dissolved uselessly into the storm of panic and dominance saturating the air. Wolves weren't meant to breathe inside an aura like Kale Draven's. It was too heavy, too ancient, too unyielding. Lyra felt it most of all. Her lungs strained. Her knees wobbled. Her wolf cowered, not out of fear, but out of recognition. Something inside her, something she had never been able to name, rose to meet the pressure, not bowing, not breaking, just standing. As if it had been waiting for this wait to find it. Rowan's snarl cracked through the night. Release her. He lunged, aura flaring. And Kale didn't even turn his head. He simply lifted 2 fingers. Power slammed Rowan into the dirt. Hard. The breath left him in a brutal rush. His wolf yelped inside his chest, pinned with a force that felt like gravity itself had chosen to discipline him. Challenge me if you wish, Blackthorn, Kale said at last, voice carrying a calm that chilled the blood. But challenge me after the girl is out of the way. I have no interest in killing in front of her tonight. Tonight. As if he knew with absolute certainty that killing Rowan was not a matter of if, but when. Lyra. Her name rolled off his tongue like a claim, deeper than speech, closer to instinct. He angled his body toward her, no longer bothering to hide the wolf burning through his skin. Come. He didn't yank her. Didn't drag her. He simply expected she would follow. The terrifying part was, her body leaned toward him before her mind caught up. The pull between them was undeniable, a bond thrumming like a low drum at the base of her spine. She felt the world narrow to the heat of his hand, the silent command in his voice, the strange security in his shadow. Rowan managed to push himself onto an elbow, gasping. Lyra, don't. His voice cracked. Not from pain. From something like desperation. From the bond between them, dying, but not dead. Her heart twisted. But Cale's aura pressed closer, and Rowan's voice drowned beneath it. Cale tilted her chin up with a single finger. He rejected you, he murmured, eyes glowing with a feral silver. You owe him nothing. The words hit too deep. Too true. Her throat tightened, and she hated that her eyes stung. Cale's gaze narrowed. Did he wound you? The question wasn't gentle. It was lethal. She shook her head quickly, terrified of what he'd do if she said yes. But Cale's nostrils flared. And she knew he smelled her heartbreak anyway. A ripple of cold fury passed through him, dimming the lantern light around them. His wolf prowled beneath his skin, violently displeased. He hurt what is mine, Cale said, voice a quiet snarl no one but she could hear. That will not be forgiven. Lyra's breath tangled. I didn't agree to. You don't need to agree. He stepped closer, his shadow swallowing hers. The bond has already chosen. The words felt like they'd been carved into the air. Cale lifted her hand, turning her wrist in his grip, brushing the pulse point with his thumb. Heat flared through her arm, down her ribs, into her wolf, setting every nerve aflame. Her wolf gave a soft, startled whine. Not fear. Recognition. Enough, the elder barked, slamming his staff against the stones. Ancient power ripple outward, briefly thinning Cale's aura. Alpha Draven, Crescent Moon is not your territory. The rights are ours to govern. Cale's head snapped toward him. The elder's voice died mid-sentence. Your rights mean nothing, Cale said softly. You allowed your heir to reject a fated mate under the full moon. You broke your own laws. His gaze swept the circle. Wolves trembled under it. And so I will take the bond your alpha spat on. Gasps rippled again. A few wolves dropped into full kneel. Others clutched at their chests, struggling to breathe around the raw dominance in the air. Cale took a step toward the tree line. Lyra stumbled after him. Not because he pulled her. Because the bond did. A magnetic force tugging at her ribs, pulling her into orbit around him. Rowan managed to rise to one knee. Let her go, he rasped. She doesn't belong to you. Cale paused. He didn't turn. But the air vibrated with something darker than anger, amusement wrapped in threat. Then why, Cale asked quietly, does she scent like a bond that is trying to heal itself around me? Lyra's knees nearly buckled. The clearing erupted into whispers. Rowan's face drained of color. He lunged again. Only for Cale's aura to slam him down a second time, harder, cracking stone. Cale finally looked back at him. Next time you rise to challenge me, he murmured, you won't get back up. He turned to Lyra. This place has already rejected you. Leave it. Her mouth trembled. Where would I go? Cale extended a hand, palm up, an offer far more dangerous than any threat he'd issued. With me. A shudder ran down her spine. Her wolf paced, torn. Rowan's scent clawed at her heart from across the clearing. Cale's scent pulled at her bones. Two destinies. One bond dying. One bond rising. Choose, Cale said quietly. Before he tries to choose for you again. Lyra closed her eyes and stepped toward the alpha no one dared challenge. Fog clung to the forest floor as Cale led Lyra away from the clearing, moonlight slicing through the branches in thin, trembling beams. The moment they crossed the tree line, the noise of the ceremony faded behind them, shouts, protests, Rowan's ragged breathing, all swallowed by the vast hush of the pines. Cale didn't drag her. He simply moved with the silent certainty of a predator who knew she would follow. And the terrifying part was, the bond kept tugging her forward, steady and insistent, as if every step away from Crescent Moon loosened a binding she hadn't known she'd been living under. Halfway down the ridge path, her knees gave out. Cale caught her before she hit the ground. Easy, he murmured, one arm braced around her waist, the other cupping the back of her neck. The heat of his skin seared straight through her dress. His aura pressed against her like a heavy cloak, anchoring her against the storm inside her chest. She sucked in a shaking breath. Why is it so hard to breathe? Because the bond is rearranging itself, Cale said. His voice was calm, but his wolf prowled behind his eyes, restless and irritable. A fated bond rejected under the full moon tries to reattach. It's searching for equilibrium. In you, she whispered. He held her gaze. Yes. Her heart slammed painfully against her ribs. The last hour felt impossible, a nightmare stitched to a dream stitched to a mistake she couldn't undo. But Rowan. Doesn't matter, Cale growled before she could finish, his tone dropping to something dangerous. He denied what the moon gave him. The bond is tearing away from him and redirecting toward the one strong enough to hold it. But why you? Her voice cracked. Cale's thumb brushed the pulse at her neck, a touch intimate and assessing. Because I felt the severing from miles away. It called to me. Her breath stuttered. That's not possible. His lips ghosted along her temple. Little wolf, there are many things you were never taught. Her wolf rose under her skin, curious, trembling, but no longer cowering. Something inside her recognized him, not as a stranger but as a force she had sensed for years without understanding. Cale lifted her chin. Look at me. She did. And the world narrowed to silver eyes ringed in black, a wolf staring at her from behind a man's face. There are two kinds of mates, he said. The ones the bond chooses under the moon. And the ones destiny carves in blood. His fingers tightened ever so slightly. You were never meant to stay in a small pack. Your wolf has been waiting for something it could not name. She swallowed hard. And you think that something is you? I don't think, Cale murmured. I know. Something hot and unsteady twisted in her stomach. She pushed back a step, shaky but upright. You can't just claim me. I'm not some prize you take because Rowan didn't want. Cale's aura surged, swallowing her words. Not angry, instinctive. A dominant wolf reacting to the idea of being compared to another male. Rowan wanted you, Cale said, voice low. His wolf clawed at the ground for you. But his pride is stronger than his instinct, and that makes him unfit. Lyra froze. You're lying. A slow, dangerous smile curved his lips. If I were lying, little wolf, I would not smell his heartbreak all over you. Heat rushed to her cheeks. Stop calling me that. What should I call you then? He asked, stepping forward again, eclipsing the moon behind his shoulders. His voice dipped into something rough, something ancient. Mate? Lyra's breath caught. Her wolf pushed forward with a startled, yearning sound that felt like it rose from the marrow of her bones. Cale inhaled sharply, like he'd been struck by her scent. You feel it too? No, she whispered. Yes. He moved closer. She felt him before she saw him, warmth, shadow, the irresistible pull of a wolf whose dominance could bend the world. Your wolf is choosing me, Cale said, his breath brushing her cheek. Even if your mind is still tangled in a bond that was never meant to hold. Lyra's throat tightened. I don't even know you. His gaze darkened. But I know you. Her heart stuttered. How? Cale studied her for a long moment, as if debating how much truth she could survive. When you were a child, he said slowly, a wolf died protecting you. The world tilted. How do you know about that? Cale's jaw tightened. Because that wolf was from my pack. Her breath caught. A memory flickered behind her eyes, fever, fur, teeth bared at hunters, the heat of blood in the snow. You're lying, she whispered again, but her voice lacked conviction. Cale reached out and pressed 2 fingers to her sternum. Her wolf surged to meet the touch, no hesitation, no fear. You have my bloodline in your history, Cale said softly. You were meant to be mine long before tonight. A sharp crack of a branch behind them shattered the moment. They both turned. Rowan stepped from the trees, bleeding from the temple, eyes wild, his wolf so close to the surface his hands shook. Lyra, he rasped, voice raw. Come back. Cale shifted instantly, positioning himself between her and Rowan, dominance snarling through the air. She isn't yours, Cale growled. She never was. Rowan bared his teeth. And she isn't yours either. Cale smiled, a slow, merciless curve. Do you want to test that? The air split with tension. Power surged. Her wolf braced. Because one wrong move would unleash blood on the forest floor. The forest held its breath. 2 wolves, one forged in dominance, the other in desperation, faced each other across a patch of earth trembling under the weight of their power. The moon filtered through the branches, silvering Rowan's hair and turning Cale's eyes into molten metal. Lyra stood between them, heart beating in painful, ragged thuds, her wolf pacing hard under her skin. Cale didn't move. He didn't need to. His aura expanded in a slow, relentless wave, pressing the air so thick that even the cicadas fell silent. Rowan gritted his teeth, visibly struggling not to buckle. Lyra, he managed, voice hoarse, I came for you. You should not have, Cale said coldly. Rowan's gaze snapped to him. This is Crescent Moon territory. You don't get to decide who she belongs to. Cale's laugh was a low, lethal thing. She doesn't belong to you. Not anymore. A muscle in Rowan's jaw twitched. The bond hasn't fully severed. I can still feel her. You feel regret, Cale corrected. That is not a bond. That is your pride choking you. Lyra swallowed hard. Stop. Her voice cracked. Both wolves stilled instantly, one from instinct, the other from something deeper. She stepped forward, hands trembling. You're both treating me like I'm a prize in a fight you've already decided the rules for. Cale's gaze softened by a fraction. You are not a prize. You are a choice, mine. And the moon's. Rowan flinched, pain cutting across his expression. Lyra, I made a mistake. His eyes, usually steady, commanding, now shone with raw desperation. I thought rejecting you would protect you. Cale scoffed. You rejected her to protect yourself, from the idea that you were destined to love someone who didn't fit the picture your council carved for you. Rowan's eyes flashed gold. You know nothing about me. I know enough, Cale replied. I know you're trembling because your wolf wants to kneel, not fight. Rowan growled low in his throat, but his energy wavered. Lyra's wolf whimpered, torn between familiar warmth and a magnetic darkness that felt like destiny stretching its hand toward her. She forced a breath. Rowan, why would you protect me by rejecting me? Rowan stepped toward her, slow, wounded. Because if the bond had settled, you would have been Luna. And the enemies that come for me, come for my Luna first. His voice broke. I didn't want to lose you. Lyra's chest tightened painfully. Rowan had never said words like that. Not even close. Cale's expression didn't change, but the air around him sharpened. "You lost her anyway." Rowan's gaze snapped to him, raw, unguarded. "I can still fix this." "You cannot," Cale said simply. "The bond has already begun shifting. And it's clinging to the strongest anchor." Rowan looked at Lyra, breath shaking. "Then tell it to stop. Tell him to let you go." Lyra opened her mouth. But her wolf surged forward too fast, too fiercely. Cale inhaled sharply, pupils thinning. Rowan staggered, clutching his chest. The bond had answered, but not in the direction Rowan expected. "No," Rowan whispered. "No, Lyra, don't choose him, don't." Cale stepped in front of her, blocking Rowan's advance. "You're too late." Rowan snarled and lunged. Time seemed to splinter. Cale moved with impossible speed, grabbing Rowan by the throat mid-leap, slamming him into a tree so hard bark exploded like shrapnel. Rowan gasped, claws erupting from his fingertips, legs kicking against the hold. "Cale, stop!" Lyra shouted. Cale froze, but didn't release him. Rowan wheezed, eyes glowing gold. "You think she'll want you after you kill her, Pack?" Cale's lips curled. "I do not kill for pleasure. Only for necessity. And I'm necessary." Rowan rasped. "Only as a lesson." Power crackled across Cale's skin. Rowan's legs buckled. Lyra ran to them, grabbing Cale's arm. "Please, Cale, let him breathe." His head turned toward her sharply. The wolf in him snarled, not at her, but at anyone she begged for. His grip tightened. "Cale," she whispered, pressing her hand to his chest, voice trembling, "I don't want blood tonight." Something shifted in him, violent, reluctant, but real. With a growl torn straight from his bones, Cale released Rowan. The alpha heir collapsed to his knees, coughing, blood on his lips, but alive. Lyra knelt beside him, hands hovering. Rowan lifted his gaze to hers, broken and bewildered. "You begged him to spare me." Lyra swallowed. "I don't want either of you dying because of me." Rowan reached up, fingers brushing hers. "Then come back. We can fix everything. I can make the pack accept you. I'll claim you properly this time." A shadow fell over both of them. Cale. His aura coiled like a storm around his legs, eyes burning silver. "Touch her again, Blackthorn, and I'll sever the hand." Lyra jerked away from Rowan's reach. Her heart pounded so loudly she wondered if they could hear it. She rose to her feet and stepped away from both males, chest trembling. "Stop fighting. Both of you." Cale's jaw flexed. Rowan swallowed hard. "I need to breathe," she whispered. "I need to think." Cale took a step toward her. "I will give you anything you need, except distance from the bond." Rowan pushed himself upright, wiping blood from his mouth. "Lyra, please, don't walk away from me." Her eyes burned. Two wolves. Two futures. One choice trying to tear her apart. But before she could speak, a deep, guttural howl ripped through the forest. Not Rogue. Not Crescent Moon. Something older. Something powerful. Something hunting. Cale's head snapped toward the sound. His expression shifted from possessive fury to lethal calculation. "We're not alone," he said. Rowan stiffened. "What is that?" Cale's eyes narrowed. "The reason the moon rerouted your bond." Lyra froze. The darkness beyond the trees stirred. Branches snapped. Shadows twisted. Something massive moved with deliberate purpose toward them. Cale stepped in front of Lyra, aura expanding like a shield. "Stay behind me." Rowan moved to her other side, equally tense. "Lyra, don't move." Power crackled across Cale's skin. Rowan's legs buckled. Lyra ran to them, grabbing Cale's arm. Please, Cale, let him breathe. His head turned toward her sharply. The wolf in him snarled, not at her, but at anyone she begged for. His grip tightened. Cale, she whispered, pressing her hand to his chest, voice trembling, I don't want blood tonight. Something shifted in him, violent, reluctant, but real. With a growl torn straight from his bones, Cale released Rowan. The alpha heir collapsed to his knees, coughing, blood on his lips, but alive. Lyra knelt beside him, hands hovering. Rowan lifted his gaze to hers, broken and bewildered. You begged him to spare me. Lyra swallowed. I don't want either of you dying because of me. Rowan reached up, fingers brushing hers. Then come back. We can fix everything. I can make the pack accept you. I'll claim you properly this time. A shadow fell over both of them. Cale. His aura coiled like a storm around his legs, eyes burning silver. Touch her again, Blackthorn, and I'll sever the hand. Lyra jerked away from Rowan's reach. Her heart pounded so loudly she wondered if they could hear it. She rose to her feet and stepped away from both males, chest trembling. Stop fighting. Both of you. Cale's jaw flexed. Rowan swallowed hard. I need to breathe, she whispered. I need to think. Cale took a step toward her. I will give you anything you need, except distance from the bond. Rowan pushed himself upright, wiping blood from his mouth. Lyra, please, don't walk away from me. Her eyes burned. 2 wolves. 2 futures. One choice trying to tear her apart. But before she could speak, a deep, guttural howl ripped through the forest. Not Rogue. Not Crescent Moon. Something older. Something powerful. Something hunting. Cale's head snapped toward the sound. His expression shifted from possessive fury to lethal calculation. We're not alone, he said. Rowan stiffened. What is that? Cale's eyes narrowed. The reason the moon rerouted your bond. Lyra froze. The darkness beyond the trees stirred. Branches snapped. Shadows twisted. Something massive moved with deliberate purpose toward them. Cale stepped in front of Lyra, aura expanding like a shield. Stay behind me. Rowan moved to her other side, equally tense. Lyra, don't move.